Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and today we're going to be reviewing the Man Bongo 5, specifically the one from the September 2020 BFR collection. Let's check it out. This is the Ernie Ball Man Bongo 5. Specifically, my Man BFR from the September 2020 BFR collection. This is a very unique bongo compared to other bongos. One of the big reasons is the materials and the finish. This is completely made of Honduran mahogany as opposed to the basswood and maple, and the fingerboard is ebony. The finish is a satin honeyburst, and I believe this is unique to this instrument, or maybe a few others have had it, but it's a very special finish, and it has no pick guard. The honeyburst satin finish also goes all the way up the back of the neck and all around the headstock. Most other bongos have a pick guard, have a basswood body, maple neck, and I believe either an ebony or a maple fretboard. I'm not sure exactly what the options are, but very different materials on this instrument. Electronics-wise, though, it is the same bongo that you know and love, featuring two neodymium pickups. And I know you used to be able to get them in one pickup or two pickup, but I think they stopped with that. And a 4-band preamp. That's right, this is a 4-band as opposed to the 2-band or 3-band that you get in the Stingrays. This is essentially a very similar preamp to that of the Big Al and the Man Reflex. Is that the single cut one, the anniversary edition? Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that little single cut also has the same 4-band preamp as this. The hardware is blacked out all around. We have a matte black bridge and knobs, however, the tuners are gloss black. Interesting. Now let's talk about the Man Bongo a little bit. Where did the Man Bongo come from, and where does it fit in the Man lineup? Well, the Man Bongo was a collaborative effort between Ernie Ball Man and BMW. That's right, they enlisted BMW to design the new bass for the new millennium, and they came up with the bongo. There's a whole article, which I'm going to link below, which talks about the specifics. However, the design house that specifically designed this bass was also responsible for the BMW 7 Series and 6 Series of, I believe, the early 2000s, early mid-2000s. And those things were known for being really ugly, especially compared to the predecessor. So here's what the BMW folks who designed this bass designed. And here are the older BMW designs. I mean, come on. So anyways, this was a BMW designed instrument, and it was meant to be the next generation of bass. I want to say about 20 years later, it's still in production. And it is a very unique instrument compared to the other instruments in the Man lineup. Though that particular line is starting to get a little blurrier and blurrier with each generation of Stingray. What do I mean by that? Neodymium pickups were first featured, in the Man lineup at least, in the bongo when it first came out. Before that, Man was using ceramic or Alnico pickups, but neodymium was a first in the bongo. This also, I believe, was the first to feature the 4-band preamp as opposed to the 2-band or 3-band that was found in the Stingrays. And this was the first 24-fret Man instrument as well, so a lot of firsts in the bongo, and I believe that's why it stuck around for so long. However, is it worth it at the nearly, I think, $3,000 price tag at this point? I know the prices are going up on instruments like that, and these bongos are very expensive. Is it worth it? Well, we're going to find out today. First, let's talk about the body design. Some say it looks like a toilet seat, and I agree. It does look like a toilet seat in my opinion, especially with the pick guard. I think it looks better without the pick guard, but I still like to call this bass the Honduran hot seat. I'm hilarious. Now, this is a huge bass. This is a very, very large bass. And one thing about the BFR lines is they're very limited, and with a large instrument like this, I am extra cautious because the headstock, the signature Bongo 5-string headstock, is really long, and this is an extremely large body as well. Here's a little comparison chart I made between the Bongo and the Stingray. I did a 4-string to a 4-string to make it apples to apples. But as you can see, the Bongo is significantly larger than the Stingray, and there's a lot of unused space, just mass, all around the body that, in my opinion, I mean, if you trim it down, it's going to be a Stingray eventually. I think it might be worthwhile to retire the Bongo. They've retired so many other models, I don't know why the Bongo is stuck around, but we're going to talk about some other quirks of the Bongo. Don't get me wrong, it's an excellent instrument, but as things start evolving with Music Man, it seems that all the technology that was featured here 20 years ago is making its way to the other models as well. Now before we play this bass, let's just go ahead and flip it around real quick. Around back, we see a rather large control cavity, and that houses all the controls. We have the 4-band preamp, and then we have a separate 18-volt battery compartment. That's right, this is an 18-volt preamp, another first for Music Man. The Bongo was the first 18-volt preamp that they ever had. Everything else was 9-volt before that. For a neck attachment, we have a 5-screw neck attachment with a nice contoured heel, and the body shape makes it relatively comfortable to get up into the upper registers. However, there is one very large, I'd call it quirk or flaw, that we're going to discuss in regards to Music Man 5-strings, which I'm going to demonstrate here. But before I do that, let's admire the beautiful honeyburst. I love this finish. This is an absolutely gorgeous finish, though because it's a satin finish, I often worry about dinging it or something like that, just because it's a limited instrument. I worry. Maybe I'm being a little crazy, but I just worry about, a limited instrument like this with a satin finish, because all it takes is one wrong move and you have a big scuff in it, and oh no! Anyway, let's go ahead and turn this back around one more time. In regards to weight, this comes in at 9.2 pounds, which is probably in the lighter range for 5 strings. This is definitely a fully featured instrument and has a lot of stuff here, including, again, 24 stainless steel frets, which I forgot to mention. I think this was the first Music Man to incorporate stainless steel frets. But yeah, so there's a lot of bass here, and it's 9.2 pounds, which I would call on the lower side of average, versus, higher side being like closer to, 9.5, 10 pounds. So pretty nice for a 5-string. But I know you guys are wondering, what does this bass sound like? You guys know what you need to do. Go ahead and push that like button so my hand will turn back to normal. Thanks. One thing that you gotta say about these Bongo basses is they sound mighty. With this 18-volt preamp and these 2 neodymium pickups, which are just mighty sounding pickups, this thing has some meat to it. What you heard was with both pickups at full, the blend at center, and we have a master volume knob, blend control, and then our 4-band EQ. That is split into bass and treble, and then high mids and low mids. We're going to go through the whole preamp real soon, but first let's talk about the bridge. This is a older style, Music Man style bridge like is featured in the regular Stingrays. The Bongo has not been updated to the lighter weight bridges that are featured in the Stingray Special and some other models. That being said, I don't say that's a bad thing. This is not a heavyweight bass by any means. I think it's, good looking and the bridge is functional as well. For spacing, we have 17.5 millimeter spacing at the bridge. So a little bit smaller than 18 millimeter, however, not as tight as the 16.5, 17 millimeter stuff that you get in like Ibanez's and stuff. So decently wide, though I'd probably prefer 18 versus 17.5, but I can still play it. I'm just kind of nitpicking at that point. One other thing I have to mention, just look at the size of this thing. I mean, I really gotta reach to put the tuner on the edge of the headstock, and I feel like there's a lot of wasted space that makes this thing just so big, and makes it almost like a damage liability. I'm always afraid to hit the ceiling or something like that with this. So it's about the BFRs specifically, but if you go on Reverb right now and just look up a Music Man Bongo, a used one, and if it shows in okay, good, fair condition, most of them are gonna have big old dings right up here. Anyways, let's go ahead and check out the preamp and the pickups. Let's start with the neck pickup. Yeah, so this is a meaty sounding, but a little bit on the muddy side of a humbucker up here at the neck. I guess that's what they might be going for a more old school thumpy sound. And we might be able to shape this a little bit more with the 4-band EQ. So let's start playing with that. First, here's just everything centered one more time. And let's bring everything down. Let's start there. And let's start with the treble and bass controls first. I believe that's the first stack here. Nope, those are the mid stacks. It's the second stack. So the bottom is bass and the top is treble. Let's go ahead and just center the bass control first. Now let's bring that up to 50%. This is just the bass control. Very nice, really thumpy tone. Let's take the bass back down all the way to full cut and bring the treble up to center. So just treble, mids are cut, and the bass is cut as well. Here's the treble all the way up. There we go. So let's now bring the bass up to center with the treble at full. Okay, now let's just bring the treble down to center. Here is just the treble and bass centered with the mids, high mid, and low mid at full cut. So that is the mid scoop. Let's go ahead and bring in the low mids first. That's the lower knob on the stack. Bring that up to center, leaving the high mids cut. And let's boost the low mids to about 50%. And yeah, what you heard there was the G string falling off of the neck. Yeah, so that is a problem with these Music Man 5 strings. In my opinion, I find it unbearable at times. The neck is very comfortable and narrow. I forget what the nut width is, but I think it's like maybe 45 millimeters. You know what? Let's check. Let's check it right now. Yeah, it's about 45 millimeters. It's a nice narrow nut width and a very comfortable neck profile, but the downside of that plus the 17.5 millimeter spacing is the G string is very close to the edge of the fingerboard, and it's very easy for the G to just fall off. So when you're playing, it'll just slip off the edge. It is just very prominent at times, especially if you're trying to play something complex or quick. Maybe it can be addressed with some technique, but that is one major gripe that I have with these Music Man 5 strings. It does happen to me on the Big Al as well. Again, it could just be my technique, but that is something that I've observed here that I have not observed on any of my other 5 strings. Anyway, let's go ahead and cut the low mids and bring the high mids up to center now, leaving the low mids at full cut, and bass and treble are center. Okay, I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. Let's boost the bass to about 50%, boost the treble to about 50%, leave the low mids cut, and the high mids at center. Very nice. So that was just with the neck pickup. I'm going to go through a more abridged version for the bridge pickup, just go through some of these tones here. So let's go ahead and bring the blend over to the bridge pickup and check that out with the EQ centered first. That's a spicy pickup there at the bridge. You definitely have a lot of output. Music Man doesn't really disclose the values, and I haven't gotten into looking at the specific resistance values of the pickups yet, but we may look into that in the future. Leave a comment below if you want to see that. Now let's do the scoop, where we're going to cut the low mids and the high mids, leaving the bass and treble at center. And let's boost the bass and treble to 50% and bring the high mids up to center, leaving the low mids at full cut. Very nice, very nice. One thing I have to commend this bass for, and pretty much every other Music Man 5-string I've played, is that they have some of the best B strings, especially for 34-inch scale. And I attribute that to the quality neck attachment and then just really solid necks on those basses. So I'm not a bass scientist, so don't take that for what you will. But yeah, this has a very nice B string. Very clear, not muddy, so very nice, very nice. Now let's center the blend control and bring the EQ back to center. Very nice, very nice. Now let's do the mid scoop here. And boost the bass and treble to about 50% and bring the high mids to center. And let's center the EQ now and see how she slaps. Very nice, very nice. Now, finally, let's go ahead and throw some drums behind this bass. So here are my final thoughts on the Man Bongo, specifically the BFR 2020 September yada yada. This is a gorgeous instrument. It's a great sounding and a flexible instrument, and it runs silently, just like any modern Man. You're not going to get any noise out of those instruments. However, in my mind, the design itself is a bit on the antiquated side. And I know some people love these instruments and think they're really cool. However, I love a lot of other Man instruments as well that have been long discontinued. And sometimes I wish that those had stuck around versus the bongo. Just my opinion though. I know a lot of people love this instrument. I'm just one who has I know a lot of people love this instrument, but I just have kind of hot and cold feelings on the bass. Hi, BB. I know it's touted that this was designed by BMW, but this was designed by arguably BMW's worst design team. You know, feel free to flame me or whatever about that, but I just think that, it's not that attractive of an instrument. I thought that when it first came out and I was in middle school and the Matrix movies were cool, I thought that this was the coolest bass on the planet, and the design was so futuristic and amazing, but now that we're more into the future, I think that maybe they should retire the shape and maybe keep the guts and make a neat Stingray 24 fret. I don't know. Just something a little bit more compact, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot of wasted space in the design, and the headstock is huge, and I'm always afraid to bump this bass into stuff. And being one of 60 for the BFR, it's not something I really want to ding up. And the other really big issue that I have with this bass is the G string issue. The G string likes to fall off of the fingerboard. If you're playing really aggressively, it's very easy to slip up and just fall off the edge. It's very close to the edge, and it's very difficult to compensate for that. I wish that the fingerboard was maybe just a smidge wider to allow for more space for the G string to just hang out, but no. And again, I've played other Music Man 5 strings, and a lot of them have this issue as well. So take that for what you will. I think that's a big turnoff for me on these 5 strings. They have excellent B strings, but the G string tends to fall off of the fingerboard and make an unpleasant sound. So again, maybe it's just my bad technique, but that's something that I really gripe with this instrument. Solid sounding bass and it has a lot of flexibility, but it's not perfect. And that brings me to, so what am I going to rate the Ernie Ball Music Man 5-string BFR September 2020 limited edition, whatever? But I think this applies to all Bongo 5 strings. Yeah! I'm gonna go ahead and rate this bass 3 claws out of 5, and I'm rating it 3 out of 5 for this particular reason. Now, it is an absolutely gorgeous bass, this particular model. However, I'm not a fan of the Music Man Bongo design. I think the issue with the G string is definitely something that needs to be addressed, and really hasn't been. If you look up forum posts, I mean, they date back, decades in regards to the G string issue, and there's really been nothing done about it. I also think the size of the bongo makes it very impractical, especially compared to its Stingray counterparts. And then lastly, the price tag is pretty astronomical for a non-custom bass. I mean, you're approaching nearly $3,000 with a bongo nowadays. I believe these were priced around $2,800, give or take. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I believe that's what it was. So when you're paying nearly $3,000, I'd expect those things like the G string to be a bit better. So those are my final thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, join our Discord, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the Music Man Bongo 5-string BFR September 2020 limited edition 1 of 60, yada yada yada. And as always, until we groove again.